time for another episode of the Pull List, and it's a long one, so strap in. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the Pull List. It's my weekly series where I take a look at all the books coming out. I'll tell you which ones I'm most excited for. We'll talk about the ones that I'm a little less excited about. We'll even talk about new trade paperbacks hitting the market for this week in new comics, Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. Now, it's a stacked week. It's a heavy week of new comics, so much so that I had to go through and do a huge purge before I could even look at this week's comics. So if you want to know which titles I cut from the Pull List, go back and watch that video. Seems to be fairly popular. I was excited about the response, not necessarily the view count, but how many of you guys were in the comments like, look, I can relate to this so hard. There are so many comics I have to cut. I'm so over budget. I'm just glad I wasn't the only one. So anyway, you want to go back and see the excruciating process of whittling this list down, then check that video out. But for now, it is time to take a look at the books I'm most excited about for this week of new comics, Wednesday, August 13th. And these are the books at the top of the pile. Like I said, the ones I'm most excited about, the ones that I did not cut, they're at the top of my reading pile. They are behind the counter waiting for me at Fight or Flight Comics in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we're going to start with the book at the absolute top of the pile, and that is Captain Planet and the Planeteers, issue number 3, written by David Pepose, art by Iman Casillas, and this book has been great. Now, I feel like issue 2 just came out like a week and a half ago, which maybe it did. Let me look that up. Yeah, issue 2 came out like 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks in comic years, I guess. But the point is, it's still fresh on my mind. And I really enjoyed Captain Planet issue 2. This has kind of been a quick origin of the Planeteers. They've been a little bit reimagined. They're a little bit older than you might remember them being in the cartoon series, which is fine with me. Had to check, make sure my audio was still recording. But yeah, they're older, which is fine with me. But they're coming together from all parts of the world. They have converged on the city of New York because they're trying to free Gaia from some sort of a prison that she's in. And they have finally enlisted the help of Captain Planet, which is interesting. Captain Planet looks a little bit different, you know, thirst trap and Cap. So interesting stuff. I'm very curious to see, like, you can kind of see the team is a little bit rough around the edges. They're not quite sanded down. They're not quite smooth. They're not quite working fully together until like the last page of issue 2. So I'm curious to see how that propels them forward into issue 3 and how they continue to resolve their differences while working toward this common goal that they don't even fully understand yet. Really enjoying this title. So Captain Planet and the Planeteers issue 3 is at the top of the pile for me this week. Now, the next book at the top of the pile for me is going to be Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion, issue number 3. This is written by Dennis Camp and Cody Ziegler with art by Jonas Scharf. I gotta say, although this book is still at the top of the pile for me, it's been a little disappointing is too strong a word, but this book feels more like an interlude than an event. Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion sees our 616 Miles Morales crossing over into the new Ultimate Universe by way of his sister Billy, who basically took like the Maker's sort of teleportation device to get there. Everyone, of course, wants to figure out who she is, where she comes from, and what her ties to the Maker are. So we've got, like, you know, our heroes, the Ultimates, the Avengers, if you will. They are after Miles and Billy, but then so are all of these different members of the Maker's Council. But beyond that, the story hasn't really moved forward a ton in the 2 issues we've had so far. It's basically just been Billy hopping around to different locales in the Ultimate Universe. First, she landed in New York. Last issue, she was in Wakanda. This issue, it appears she's going to be in Japan, where the Ultimate X-Men live. And I guess that gives us 2 issues to bring everybody together and start preparing for this fight against the Maker. But I don't know, something about it. Like I said, it feels more interlude than event. And it feels like the build up to this, it should have been, I don't, it just feels like this was supposed to be more and it's not. Maybe in our minds it was supposed to be more. I guess narratively it's fine, but yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying it's been a little stagnant for me. But Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion issue 3 out this week. Cover price is $4.99. Next at the top of the pile is The Unchosen issue number 2. David Marquez on the words and the art. I really enjoyed issue 1. It was I think I did my review show with DJ Ben Hameen, which you should check that out on the For All Nerds channel if you haven't already. We're going to be doing that every month. But we talked about this book there, and to be honest, I had kind of forgotten a lot of the smaller details of issue 1. It's easy to distill this and kind of say like, oh, it's like a girl, magical girl. She's at Hogwarts. She's not like, really big into her power set yet. And all that's true. Like there definitely are like inspirations taken from Harry Potter and whatever other coming of age fantasy stories you might have seen. But there was a lot of nuance in this book that I kind of forgot about. So I'm excited to see, one, these forces that are after this young girl, Aida. Also, how do her teachers fare in all of this? Because they are very much involved in defending her. And, how does she come into her skills? We only get 4 issues in this series. So issue 2, I'm expecting to propel us forward at a little bit of a faster pace than issue 1 did. Cover price on this is $3.99. And the last book at the top of the pile for me this week is Action Comics, issue 1089. Action Comics, written by Mark Waid, art by Skylar Patridge. And it's Action Comics. This being the story of a younger Clark Kent making his debut as Superboy in Metropolis a lot earlier than I think we had seen before in comics. I didn't read the earlier comics. I know Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes is a thing, but that was my understanding, is that when he's Superboy, he's kind of veering off into the future and kind of taking those lessons back, not being active in Metropolis and Smallville and all that stuff. So it's interesting because basically what we've got is Clark is active as Superboy, and I like it because we're kind of getting a little bit of when I was reading issue 2, it reminded me that Mark Waid has written my favorite Superman origin, that is in Birthright. So we had these small moments like Ma Kent, making Clark wear glasses, and she's like, oh, it changes the shape of your face, and all this stuff. So we have like those kind of bits and pieces of protecting the identity. And speaking of the protecting the identity, issue 2 or issue 1088 ended with quite an interesting last page reveal. So I'm very curious, like that's been the crux of this for me. Like how does changing when Superboy makes his debut and how does changing that impact what we know about Clark in present day and everybody's interactions with him? It's interesting to see how they walk this tightrope. Mark Waid is definitely the guy to do it, though. So cover price on issue 1089 is $4.99, and you should grab it. So those were all the books at the top of the pile for me this week. And coming up, we got to talk about some new series debuts that are on the radar. And like I said, on the radar, this is my segment for new issue number 1s, new jumping on points, new series debuts for this week of new comics. And listen, we have no shortage of new issues this week. Let's start this off with Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum, issue number 1. This is written by W. Maxwell Prince, with art by Martin Morazzo, colors by Chris O'Halloran, or is he on the letters? I don't know. The point is, this is the creative team behind Ice Cream Man. They're bringing us a brand new Black Label title. So a Superman self-contained miniseries for more mature readers. It's not your typical superhero fare. If you've read Ice Cream Man, then you know why it's not typical. I'm very curious about this. This creative team was like one of the favorites of our late channel moderator, Skip and Tosh. And the way he recommended Ice Cream Man, like it was his favorite thing like in the world when it was coming out. And I've dipped in and out of Ice Cream Man. It's a little bit too horror existential dread for me. I'm curious to see what kind of take this team brings to Superman, because it doesn't, at first sight, it's like this creative team and this content don't necessarily go together. So I'm curious to see how it goes. So Superman Kryptonite Spectrum issue 1 is out this week. Cover price is $5.99, and I think I'm going to check that out. Next up, brand new number 1 from David Pepose and Jonathan Lau is Space Ghost, issue number 1. This being Space Ghost Volume 2 from this creative team. The original run was only meant to be 12 issues. They ended up getting an annual as well. So they got 13 issues to tell a fairly complete story. And this is basically going to pick up where that left off, but it's going to be a new jumping on point for you as well. If you were enjoying the last run of Space Ghost, it's the same creative team picking up some of the same story threads. It's going to be more of what you loved, which I absolutely loved, that first volume of Space Ghost. And if you are curious about getting into Space Ghost, this is a great place to jump in as well. So Space Ghost number 1 out this week. Cover price is $4.99. What I'm really excited about, Alex Ross has a variant cover, and I'm definitely going to grab that. Next up, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Volume 3, issue number 1. This written by Ryan Parrott, who has been dealing with the Power Rangers for quite some time. Art is by Vincenzo Federici, who's been doing Ninja Turtles work for quite some time. So, match made in heaven. This is the 3rd time the Power Rangers and the Ninja Turtles have teamed up since I got into comics. One of my first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics actually was that first MMPR TMNT crossover. They did Volume 2, 2023? And now here we are with Volume 3. And this might be the first volume of this series that I don't collect in single issues because, man, my budget is already tight. My reading pile is already too big. And there's just too much stuff coming out right now. What I will say is if anything is going to make me buy this book, it's going to be the variant cover by Dan Mora. I just can't resist Dan Mora drawing the Power Rangers or the Ninja Turtles for that matter. So there we go. $4.99 is cover price on that. Next up from our friends at Dynamite Entertainment is the Powerpuff Girls Super Villain Summer Spectacular, issue number 1. My apologies to anybody who can't deal with the whistle in my voice. Dynamite titled this book. I didn't do it. But anyway, it's a Powerpuff Girls one-shot for those of you who may not have been reading the Powerpuff Girls limited series or ongoing series, and you're not reading the other Powerpuff Girls Thundercats crossover. If you wanted just a quick dose of Powerpuff Girls, I think for me, that's probably the best way to take them. You got this one-shot. Cover price on it is $5.99. Next up, another new number 1 from Valiant, Alien Books iteration of Valiant. This is Valiant Beyond Bloodshot, issue number 1. These are kind of like, they're meant to be jumping on points. Brand new starting points, no prior reading necessary. Doesn't matter if you read the 2012 or 2011 iteration of Valiant or the 90s iteration of Valiant. Just pick up one of these Valiant Beyond issues and see what you like, see which characters you like. So yeah, see which one you like. There is a Harbinger issue coming up, if I'm not mistaken, and that has been interesting. So anyway, Valiant Beyond, give it a shot. Cover price on that is $4.99. And the last book I'm going to shout out on the radar this week, because again, there are a lot of books, but Uncle Scrooge, Earth's Mightiest Duck is out this week with a cover price of $4.99. I believe this is written by Jason Aaron, who just wrote the Uncle Scrooge and the Infinity Dime book as well. So Uncle Scrooge, I didn't write down the creative team, and it's not on my actual pull list. Anyway, it takes too long. Sorry, I didn't shout out the artist. I know Gabriel Del Otto is on that A cover. There's a lot of cool variants. I'm going to keep getting my Scrooge hit through the Dynamite DuckTales series because Uncle Scrooge is in there. There's just, again, not enough money in the budget to go around. $4.99 is cover price on that one. And that's it. Those are all the books that are on the radar. I really don't have room for them, but hey, if you do, you're going to have a great day because those aren't even all the new number 1s. If you like horror books, there's horror books to choose from and all that. If I were to add any of these to the pull list, I would have to do a quick budget check first to see where I stand. Now, I have a weekly budget of $50. That $50 weekly budget leaves room for me to buy collected editions and stuff without breaking the bank. So looking at this week of new comics, I whittled the list down to the point where I'm only spending $50.20 this week, which is technically over budget by 20 cents, but it's okay. I got 20 cents. It's fine. But that does mean I don't really have room for any new series debuts besides that Kryptonite Spectrum that's on the list. And speaking of that being on the list, let's just go ahead and talk about everything else. Everything else on my pull list, we're going to start with Batman Dark Patterns, issue number 9, Hayden Sherman, Dan Waters. I am not caught up on this book. I decided to keep buying it because I started to catch up. And what I love about this more than anything, I love that it's Batman doing detective work. That's great. I love that it's dark and gritty. That's also great. But the art in this book is spectacular. The way Hayden Sherman plays with panel layouts and page construction and composition, that's the actual word, is amazing stuff. Really, really good. Like playing with perspective, turning the camera. It's just stuff that you don't see in comics necessarily all that often. So much so that I'm talking about it. I don't necessarily care about the camera position in a comic. I just want the story to be good with like serviceable art. So like when art is this great, it stands out. Hayden Sherman's got to have some Eisners coming at some point in life because this book is phenomenal. And I've heard the same about Absolute Wonder Woman, even though I dropped it. Cover price on this is $4.99. Next up is Fantastic Four issue number 2, written by Ryan North, Humberto Ramos on art. This book has been great as well. They rebooted it, obviously, since this is issue 2. Issue 1 came out last month, and I thought it was a pretty interesting hook for the first issue. It was weird that it was kind of like a stealth, like, oh, it's a reboot. They didn't put the One World Under Doom banner on it, though it's on this one, because Doom is absolutely still the culprit. He has like sent the Fantastic Four across multiple periods in the Earth's formation, and they got to find their way back to one another. And Sue is the key that's going to bring them all together, it seems. Very interesting. I like it. I liked the debut, so I'm going to keep this going. Cover price is $3.99. Miles Morales, Spider-Man issue 36. I'm behind on. We're still in that God War, him, Ares, Anansi, all that. I'm behind, though. Cover price on that's $3.99. Transformers, issue number 23. I'm riding this book out because issue 24 will be the last Daniel Warren Johnson penned issue of the series and likely will be where I jump off completely, though I may still collect it in hardcovers after, from issue 25 on, because if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora, which actually sounds kind of hard to resist, but I'm going to refrain because there's too many books on the pull list. So far, though, or for now, issue 23 is still up here. Cover price is $3.99. And the last book on my pull list this week is The Ultimates, issue number 15. The Ultimates, it's Dennis Camp, it's Juan Frigeri. It's still The Ultimates, even though I'm like 3 months behind on The Ultimates right now. The only Ultimate books I'm caught up on are the Spider-Man Incursion book and Ultimate Spider-Man. For the rest of these, I need an Ultimate afternoon to get caught up. So I plan on doing that maybe this weekend. Next weekend's busy. Let's get caught up on the Ultimate Universe this Saturday. Note to self, $4.99 on that. And that's the last book on my pull list. But we still got a whole new segment to go. Let's get to the segment I like to call Trade Waiting. These are recently collected issues that have come out recently that are being collected in trade paperback or oversized hardcover for the first time. And before we get into Trade Waiting, I should let you know the Trade Waiting segment is brought to you by Panelbound Comics. Now, you might have known them as the good folks at Organic Price Books, but hey, what's a rebrand between friends? It's the same great deals, just with a new name. And speaking of great deals, if you're interested in any of these collected editions that I cover, you can grab them at Panelbound Comics using the link in the description down below. If you use my coupon code BJKicks, you'll save even more at checkout. So thanks to Panelbound Comics for sponsoring this segment of the pull list. And now let's get into it. And we're going to start off with the banger allegedly. Absolute Wonder Woman Volume 1 is out this week. It's got a trade paperback release for $17.99, or you can opt for the hardcover, standard size hardcover, for $24.99. Hayden Sherman on the art, Kelly Thompson on the writing. Most people that I know that are reading this book have it very high on their list of favorites. For me, I fell behind early on and just never quite caught up. So this trade paperback will be a great way for me to revisit and just follow the series from trades from there. So there we go. Next up, Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, the deluxe edition. This is a series from Matt Fraction, if I'm not mistaken. This was coming out when I first got into comics, and it always looked interesting. I never read it. If I'm not mistaken, this same guy did the Lois Lane book, or was that Greg Rucka? I don't know. I should stop doing things from memory. I'm bad at that. But Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, the deluxe edition, is just interesting to me. I don't know if I'm going to buy it or not. We'll see what I'm looking like at the end of the month. But I do love that homage cover to the Superman versus Muhammad Ali book. It's one of my favorites. $49.99 on that, though. Next up, coming to trades, is Flash Gordon Volume 2 from Mad Cave Studios. This is Jeremy Adams with art by Will Conrad. One of the best looking books, one of the more fun books on the pull list. This was like a sort of palate cleanser type of read for me until it kind of fell out of my reading rotation. So I decided to drop the series and wait for trades. And I haven't read an issue since the first volume. So Volume 2 is right on time for me. Cover price on that, $17.99. On the Marvel side of things, we've got Laura Kinney Wolverine Volume 1 coming out this week, continuing the From the Ashes era. We got a whole bunch of solo titles, Wolverine, Laura Kinney being one. Another one is Phoenix Volume 2 is out this week. Both of those have a cover price of $17.99. And the last trade paperback I'm going to shout out is from Titan Comics. This is Conan the Barbarian, Twisting Loyalties. This is actually Volume 5 of the current run of Conan by Jim Zub, which is one that I dropped in singles as well because so a lot of the sword and sorcery titles can like just kind of be nice and cool and action packed, and then like suddenly just boom, sex scene. You're like, wait, what happened? I'm pleased to report Volume 5 is a little bit lighter on the wenching, as they call it. So that was cool. But Twisting Loyalties out this week. Cover price is $17.99. I'll have a bit of a preview of that coming up one day this week. I'm running out of days of the week to put content out, which I guess is a good problem to have, but I want to get that out sooner than later because we also got a Conan Omnibus coming out very soon, and I got preview copies of both of those to show you. So stay tuned to the channel if you want to see those. That was, of course, the last book on the trade waiting pile, but again, not the last book coming out this week. If you are a comic book fan with an unlimited budget, this is the time to be a comic book fan with an unlimited budget. There are so many titles, so many books, so many collected editions coming out every single week. August is the biggest month I've seen, or at least I remember, since I got into comics, of titles that I'm actually interested in that are coming out, to the point where I'm making like tough decisions on what I'm going to buy and what I'm going to leave on a shelf and risk seeing it go out of print. So yeah, man, hard times. That's why I'm here to talk about stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you are grabbing this week, what's on your pull list, and I'll see you in another video soon. Until then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.